Gen Xers, Millennials, multi-generation. These are just some of the terms that we are going to appear in our segment.
And welcome to the Leader's Edge, where we give actionable insights to help you thrive in a new normal.
A fantastic day to all of you. This is Sassy Casas, and I am happy to be back in this episode of The Leader's Edge.
We're here again to learn because that's what we're all about. You see, we're all about learning.
We are in for a wonderful episode tonight. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 4.
And welcome to Leader's Edge Season 4, Episode 10.
Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And today, it's Season 7, Episode 8.
It's called the Leader's Edge. We are here tonight with another amazing leader.
Good day, everyone across the world. Welcome to the Leader's Edge.
Welcome to the third episode, Season 5 of the Leader's Edge.
Good day, everyone across the world. Welcome to the Leader's Edge, a podcast, a blog, and a video cast. And I'm your special host for tonight. My name is Raju Mandian. I'm based in the Philippines, and today on episode number 2 of Season 8, Leader's Edge, I have a very special guest, somebody right after my heart, a friend, a kaibigan, a kapatid, Boomson Agustin, who's here to talk about sales, the heart and science of sales and negotiating or negotiations. I'll let Boom tell you a bit about himself and about his forte, sales and negotiation. Boom, the floor is yours to talk about yourself.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you very much, and thank you for the invite. By the way, just to give you a little background on what I do, I'm a sales management consultant. I can say safely that I'm already doing consulting worldwide. Some of my clients are in Australia and of course, very controversial, Russia right now, which is why I probably don't have that client right now, because a lot of the social technology for Russia has been cut. So it's a sort of a hiatus, but I do have other clients, and we talk about how to improve sales in certain industries and certain not just industries, certain countries as well. Okay, and so I just found out that sales is practically the same the worldwide, and that's why I'm here to talk about it, especially negotiations.
Practically the same worldwide. That's an amazing statement to make. I always thought that every sales consultant, every sales guru, or even a sales person, executive, had his own style. And
yeah, you're right. I mean, style-wise, there are different styles. Okay, right. But process-wise and the nitty-gritty of sales, the basics of selling are the same worldwide.
Oh, all right. I get it. So what you're saying is the essence of selling,
exactly,
is almost the same and has been the same for centuries.
Yeah,
across the world. I agree.
It's the they said it's the second oldest profession. Yes.
Correct. I don't want to talk about the first one, but I remember listening to Zig Ziglar like about 30 years ago. And I think maybe things have changed just a bit in terms of technology, in terms of how we provide the same essence. What is your style, Boomson Agustin, that is different from the rest of the world? What makes you stand apart?
Well, for me, my style is that I'm a numbers guy. Okay, there are salespeople who deal with relationships. Basically, they will go there. They will try to build a very good relation. It's more about a friendship rather than numbers. I deal with numbers, meaning I look at the numbers. I tell the person what the numbers are telling me. I interpret the numbers for that person. And I tell that person what the numbers say and how this information can help them. That's basically my style. Like let's say when I'm selling a bus, okay? many people look at the brochure and they see these specs like bore and stroke and torque and all of these things. Okay. And they don't know what that means versus the brochure of the other guy. Okay. All they see is like when I was selling buses, all they could see is one bus versus another. They all have 6 wheels. Okay. They all have the same length, the same height. They look the same. One is more beautiful than the other. I'll get the one that's more beautiful. That's basically how people make their decisions. But then I look at the numbers and say, hey, maybe you might consider this one because when you have this number, it's more advantageous. I'll give you an example. This is an actual story when I was selling a bus, okay? I had this company, a bus company that whose route was Baguio. And if you know Baguio, it's always going up, right? And in the back in the 90s, they had fewer roads to Baguio. So it basically many of the buses had to go steep, okay? Now, I lost a bid to that company. I lost a bid to that company with another bus company, okay? Right. But I knew for a fact that that bus company was not at the bus units they were buying were not for them. Okay, I only lost by 15,000 pesos per bus. And then so I went back 8 months later. I called this guy and I say, hey, Mr. Owner, I won't say names here, by the way. Okay. Hey, Mr. Owner, how's your clutch? How's the clutch of your buses, the new buses that you bought? And the guy says, what do you mean, Boom? I said, do you have any of them in the repair shop right now? And he calls this guy and then he says, how many are in the repair shop? And the guy says 3 buses are in the repair shop right now. What's wrong with them? Their clutch. And then he goes back to the phone. How did you know? I said, because in the brochure, if you look at both our brochures, okay, one has a long stroke and one has a short stroke, okay? Meaning that the distance that the piston travels when it rotates, okay? Okay. So, and then he says, so what's the difference? I said, when your bus has a shorter stroke, it means it's very good on a straightaway. It's very good going straight, very good, okay? But when it's going to climb up a mountain, that means the driver has to play with the clutch a little bit, okay? And if he does that continuously, day in, day out for a few months, the clutch is going to give. And then your bus is. But in our brochure, you can see that our stroke is about a third longer than the stroke of the competition. Sure, we're a little more expensive, 15,000, but you're losing a lot more with your buses there in the garage. And he says, yeah, you're right. And then I said, but I have a solution for you. Yeah, I just with me right now, parked outside. I've got 2 buses for you. You want to take them? And he took those buses right there.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, Boom. What you're saying when you talk about numbers, and then you're talking the technical specs, for example, the piston size, the size of the stroke, and the resulting horsepower or the resulting torque, yes, I might say. No? But when you talk about numbers in sales, and so are we talking about the number of features?
I'm talking about technical details, and technical details always involve numbers. So what I do is I turn the numbers into a story. That's my selling technique. So if you give me a technical detail about something, any product whatsoever, even training, even a service, a technical detail, I can turn that technical detail into a story. That's my superpower, and that's how I sell. I'm not unique. I'm not unique by any stretch of the imagination. There are people who do that, and some even do it better than I do.
Yeah, right. So isn't that features and advantages and thus the benefits thereof?
Oh yes.
Am I on track? Is also correct me if I'm wrong. When people say sales is just a question of numbers, my layman understanding is that it's the number of calls you make, it's the number of emails you send out, it's the number of prospects that you have a meeting with, it's the number of proposals that you send out, it's the number of pitches that you send out, or pitches that you make. So the more you make, the larger the chance of you raising your sales. Is that the number or just the FAB, features, advantages, and
No,
benefits?
when I was talking about my selling technique, I was talking about FAB.
Right.
Yeah,
Technical
feature
advantages.
yeah, technical advantages. But when you mention the numbers, I will have to answer that question with yes and no.
You mean
Okay.
the
Yeah,
legwork, the
yeah, the
sweatshop,
legwork, the
the salt
number of,
mines, yeah.
exactly. Yes, initially. Yes,
Mm.
it's the number of calls you make, it's the number. But as you move further into your sales career, like if you're like 2 years, 3 years into it, it's no longer the number of calls you make, it's the quality of the calls you make.
Right,
Okay.
right. Oh, yeah, of course.
You always
yeah.
start with numbers when you're new. You always
Right.
start with a high volume when you're new. But then when you're into the groove, you know what you're doing, you already know what you're saying, you turn that number into quality. Okay. If meaning it's now a different number, meaning the number of minutes you spend with a client, the number of the number of the number of minutes you spend with a client, the number of minutes you service the client. That's basically it. It's more about quality.
I get it. I get the numbers part now. So my question to you would be, now that I understand that your niche, your angle, your leverage is technical advantage and quality statements and wrapping it in a story. Now, my question to you is, let's say you're not selling buses. Let's say you are selling training programs like yours truly. Truly, right?
Yeah.
So if I were wanting to raise my gross annual sales, forget the profit sizes, but I just want to raise the numbers. I want to go from like 5 zeros to 6 zeros or 6 zeros to 7 zeros. What should I do today to prepare for that desired growth? How can I go about putting things in place?
If you're selling training like we do, or consulting like we do, I think for me, and this is my opinion, okay, and for me it has worked already. I think the best way to do it is to brand yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I remember back in 2009 when I started my consultancy. Okay. I wasn't that well known. I had to knock on people's doors. I had to make client calls. I had to do that. I was receiving very low pay for a per day seminar, really low. I would take anything at that point. And then but I started in 2010. I started branding. Okay, I started going on LinkedIn, posting things about selling. I had decided at that point to start talking about selling. So I tried to niche in selling, niche in that market. I didn't talk about anything else. And then in 2013, I got my first call. I branded myself on LinkedIn. Okay, I got my first call from LinkedIn. That was 3 years apart. Okay, 3 years apart. After that, the calls never stopped. And here's the thing: when you brand yourself, people automatically think you are worth a certain price. At that time, I was, let's say, this was the price I was giving my clients, but the guy who called me assumed that this was my price, and I didn't say no.
Okay.
And then it started until the point in 2016 to 2018, I was not making sales calls anymore. They were just coming in.
Wow.
They were just coming in. They were like hotcakes, exactly, in my face too. There they go.
Inbound flooding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my business only started to suffer because it's a service business. We started to suffer only during the pandemic. But before that, it was good numbers. And I think branding is the thing we stick with in our industry. In different industries, it's probably something else.
So let me understand branding from your perspective. Besides the nice logo, besides the nice photographs, besides the nice tagline, etc., no? Those are branding collaterals.
Yes.
Right? Branding collaterals. And you say you go and brand yourself on LinkedIn. That's what you did. How do people do that? Not just us, not just people in the consult. What are the 2 or 3 steps that they can take such that they begin to kind of cut in deep with their brand on LinkedIn per se.
Here's the thing about branding. Before you go to the steps of branding, the first thing you need to do is understand what branding is. Okay, like for me and for a lot of consultants, branding is a promise. Okay, I'll give you an example. For let's try to get an international artist, an international superstar, Jet Li. Yeah. Okay. When I say Jet Li or Jackie Chan, what do you expect to see in a movie?
Kung Fu.
Yeah, Kung Fu. A lot of stunts, a lot of action, right? So every time you hear Jackie Chan in a movie, that's what you expect, right?
Kick-ass.
That because that is his brand. Okay, that's his brand, right? That's his brand. So when you watch a Jackie Chan movie and it's a love story, and he's courting a girl and it's not even a comedy, you'd be a little disappointed, right? Right? So
I understand.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when you make a brand, when you create a brand, you create a promise. Okay. So when I created my brand, my promise was that when you hire me, you're going to see that your sales will improve. That's my promise. Jackie Chan's promise is that when you buy a ticket to his movie, you'll see action. That's a promise. When you watch Efren Bata Reyes, the billiards expert, when you watch him, you expect that he'll do at least one or two magic shots in the game.
Okay.
You expect that. That's why you buy the ticket. You're looking forward to it. And when he doesn't do it, you're a little disappointed. Okay. When you buy a ticket to the old Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, you expect a flying, floating slam dunk in that game, right?
Yeah.
So what you're buying, when you buy a brand, when you buy into a brand, you're buying a promise. So understanding that alone is a big help. Now, how do you do that? You make a promise, but then the next step after creating that promise is to be able to communicate that promise. How do you communicate it? Is LinkedIn the best place for it? Is Facebook the best place for it? Is going on a tour the best place for it? That's what the next step is. Okay, so you create your brand by creating your promise, and then you communicate. Basically, it's just two steps, and then you stick to that.
I like that. I like this very much, Boom. Actually, I want to take notes, but if I take notes, I'll take my eyes away from you, and I don't want to do that. But I'll remember that. Branding.
But don't worry, this is recorded, so you can watch it.
Yeah, but this is for me, like I should wake up with this thought. So let me repeat that quickly. Branding is a promise you make, right?
Yes.
And then people should always know that is Boom's promise. That is Raju's promise, that he will kick ass. He will provide quality training. Does that you can measure the results, right? So he'll go out of his way, etc., etc. He'll do all that in his service, in his delivery, in his promise to you. So I do that. Now let's just kind of flip back a bit. The bus analogy, the bus story. Let's just say there are 20 bus dealers, not manufacturers in the Philippines, but there are 20 guys who bring in a bus from Taiwan, Japan, China, whatever. What is a bus dealer, not a manufacturer? What kind of promise can he make to his potential clients, whether they be the commuting bus companies or whether they are company bus companies? What kind of promise can he make? Because that's a very hard product compared to a non-tangible like yours and mine. No? What can they say that this is what our bus stands for, and no matter day or night, no matter typhoon or no typhoon, this is what our bus will deliver? Okay.
I'll do that by telling a story.
Okay, great.
Right?
Cuento.
Cuento. Okay. So my dad was one of the best truck and bus salespersons out there. And no matter and no matter what, and he used to be in a dealership as well. Okay, and the dealership had many competitors selling the same brand, so it was the same dealership. What my dad did at that time was he made seminars for bus companies, free seminars for bus companies, talking to them about bus maintenance, how to warehouse, how to create a warehouse system for their. Remember, this was back in the 60s and 70s. Okay, how to create a warehouse system for their buses, how to maintain their parts, how to choose the right oil for them, even if they had not bought anything from. So he branded his dealership as an expert. Okay, so the other dealerships didn't do that. Okay, so he stood out because
good idea.
Because even if you bought from a different dealership, so long as you were buying the same from the same manufacturer, let's say Zuzu or stuff like that, he would go to you and they say, "I'll give you a free seminar, teach you how to maintain them."
Right.
And then so now, if you were the bus owner and then you went back to the person you bought from and asked, "Hey, what kind of oil should we use?" and then he answered it in a way that was not part of the seminar, you'd say, "Hey, I don't trust this guy anymore.
I doubt you." Yeah,
I don't trust this guy anymore because I trust this guy. So my next purchase is going to be with this guy." And he did that. And the moment they caught on to that and started doing that, he came up with a different idea.
Amazing. So I get it. So what you're doing is you're creating something absolutely unique. And every time your unique becomes a standard, then you recreate another unique proposition.
You make another promise.
Right.
So the promise is, if you get me, I know what I'm talking about.
Right. Boom. Good. I like these two little nuggets of wisdom you shared with me. The first one was about measuring numbers through a technical perspective, number one. And then, of course, also doing the quality of calls, the number of calls, etc., etc. And this, that means kind of creating a certain niche about who you are or what your product stands for, what your brand promises. I like those two. Now let's get to the floor. In the sense, let's get to into the pit of selling. Making a call. You know, across the years, I've always been concerned about. Well, nowadays you don't pick up the phone anymore. You don't. But sending out that first email or first making that first connection. No. What is your recommendation for the novice salesperson in today's domain, today's online digital domain? Like, how do I reach out to Mr. Moneybags or my potential client? What is it what should be my ethical approach, you know?
Oh, okay. I'll give them a tried and tested. You're talking about the new type of selling. Here's the thing. The old way is always the best way. It's just applying it in a new dynamic. Okay. Right. I'm sure you're familiar with the acronym called AIDA. Right?
Yes, of course.
Yes, that's attention, interest, desire, action.
Yeah.
Right. So AIDA is still the best tool to reach out to the client. Why? AIDA A, attention. First, look for two things.
Yeah.
A unique selling benefit or a persistent pain point. Okay, a persistent pain point. Like, let's say,
how are your clutches doing? How are your clutches?
Yeah, there, exactly. That's a pain point, right? Okay. Or a unique selling benefit. Like, did you know that you can actually, if you own the business right now and it's registered, did you know that you can actually get your condo you can actually purchase a condo for free?
Right. Or you can get buses which have a free lifetime clutch repair service.
All right. That's one.
Right.
But we can go away from the buses. We can use the bus again. Did you know that? Did you know that you can actually purchase your buses? You can actually get your buses for free. Okay, did that get your attention? If you were a bus owner?
Oh, I didn't know that, man.
You could. You know how? And then the interest part. Would you want me to explain it to you?
Okay.
That's
Please.
the interest part. Yes. Okay. If you were a
Yeah?
client, yeah, please. I have 5 minutes. Sit down. Explain it to me. Okay. And then the desire part is, this is the actual detail part. Okay. I would actually change D to detail, not desire. But yeah, this is the actual detail part. And then you tell them how. If you buy your buses on leasing, meaning rent to own the buses through a leasing company, you can actually deduct the lease from your taxes.
Right, as an expense.
Yeah, as an expense. Therefore, in effect, you're buying your buses for free.
Right. Because you're spending money, which can be tax deductible, and thus at the end of it, you land up with a bus, and then it shows up on your balance sheet, but you can sell it and cash out on that. Okay.
Exactly. And
that's tricky.
Let's go to the A part, which is the action. So if that works for you, I have a leasing form here that you can sign.
Right. Would you like to try one bus?
Would you like to try one? Yes, exactly.
Would you like to open up your car garage to squeeze in a big bus?
Yeah, and this works this works well online as well. Okay, here's a sample of an online IDA. Okay, lose weight in 3 days guaranteed. Click.
Yep.
And then the I is click here to find out how. There you have the A and the I, right? And then when you get in, that's when they have this video and these details. That's the boring part. Okay.
Right.
And then, but don't wait any longer. This offer only lasts till today. Click on this button to get this offer now. That's the A part, right? That's the action part. So you see, they use it online. It can be adapted to different selling modules. So here's my tip to all those getting into it. Okay, use IDA. You can tweak it however you want. IDA is still the best tool for you. There you go.
Right. So no matter the technology, no matter the language, no matter the media, the essence is still the same.
Exactly.
The
That's
essence
why
is to get them interested, right? To stand apart and then to fulfill that promise. I'm deconstructing the whole conversation, right? From the numbers to the technical advantages in numbers, and then the brand promise. So basically, get their attention and give them that value that you promised. I get it, and do it often. Okay, I get the sales part, and I hope that I can employ this, and so can the listeners. Boom. My question to you is that our theme for today is the heart and science behind sales and negotiating. And I think we just covered some ground on sales. My question to you is, where does negotiating fit in the whole ball game? Is it like intertwined, or is it at the end of a sales process, or it's something that totally stands apart?
No, so negotiating, like you said, is intertwined. Every aspect, every call you make is a negotiation. Like you're negotiating for the next appointment. That's a negotiation. You're negotiating to just let them hear you out. Okay.
Right.
You're negotiating to get a better. To not give too much discount. That's another negotiation. In every aspect of life. In fact, I'm not just selling. In every aspect of life, negotiation is key to everything. We negotiate with our kids, right?
Right.
We negotiate with our wife, right?
Yep. And the son says, increase my allowance, daddy, and you go, Tom, and talk to me, right? Let's sit down. Let me understand your needs first.
Exactly.
Let me do a needs analysis on your request.
Very good.
Okay, great. Now, supposing that I, as a sales coach, as a speaker, trainer, coach, I'm invited to go and talk to company ABC International, right? And like the numbers are right. They feel that maybe I have a little advantage compared to 3 other service providers, 3 other resources. And then they also like my brand. They're not telling me, yeah, but they say, okay, Raju, you have a little kind of hi-fi USB. You know, it's kind of high fidelity USB. Right? But yet, now they're gonna talk numbers to me. When I say numbers, dinero,
Cost.
pera,
Yeah, dinero. Yeah.
What should be my mindset? What should I prepare for? What are the strategies there to not lose the business, right? Don't let the fish slip away and yet not lose your shirt at the same time. What are your recommendations?
You know, I love that. I love that question very much because I have a story about that also. But before I get to the story, I'll tell you first, it's about value. Now, let me explain the value, your value proposition in a story. Is that okay?
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So this happened like in 2018. Okay. And I was already branded as a sales guru. Okay.
Guru.
So yeah, guru, exactly. Right. And so I gave my proposal to a company, and then the company looked at the proposal. Okay, they called me a week later. I learned that there were two others bidding for the same account.
Right.
Okay. And so they called me back after my presentation and everything. And then they said, then the president of the company talked to me and said, Boom, you know what? We liked your presentation. We liked your module. We like what you had to say, but we have a problem with your price. I said, yeah, what's the problem? And then they told me, then they showed me the lowest bidder. Okay. They showed me the lowest bidder right in my face and said, look, Boom, he is half your price. Now give me that price and we'll hire you.
Right.
And then they said, okay, before I answer that question, can I ask a question? And they said, oh, sure, go ahead. What are the 5 major problems you have with your sales force right now? Okay, I knew that in the 5, there would be one where they say they always give too much discount. Okay.
Good one.
So he said he names them, and the top one was actually, yeah, and they keep giving, they think they're giving away the product. They give too much discount. I said, that's interesting. So if I gave you a 50% discount right now, what would I be teaching your people? And then he looks at me.
Making upon you.
Yeah, and then he looks at me and says, and then I said, wait, before you answer that, I have another question. I said, yeah, go ahead. How much discount did these 2 companies give you? And then he smiles. And then I said, here's what I can do for you. I'll give you just a little discount for this one. Nice. But I won't go for that price. Can we shake on it now and come up with a contract? And we shook on it. I got the deal. And he's still a happy client.
So you threw them a little bone. You did not let them go home.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was already ready to throw them a bone, but not a 50% discount, you know?
Yeah. Well, that would be the whole leg.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So it's about value. What you ask yourself, what value are you bringing? And then you ask the client to put a price to that value. Okay. When you create a brand, it's easy because the value is right there in the promise, in the brand. It's a promise. Right. It's a promise you've constantly kept throughout the years. Right, since it's already there, you ask them. It's simply this: when you're price negotiating, you ask them. In a way, you try to reconstruct your sentences, and then you ask them, how much is that value worth for you?
Right.
And that's where the price comes in.
Yeah, good. Boom. This is so far has been extremely interesting, and I'm thinking that if I were greenhorn salesperson, I would learn a lot from you. Because me, even though I'm not a greenhorn, I think I've taken away lots of valuable lessons from these just 4 or 5 questions with you. Now, one question that I'm thinking might be important for myself and for the listeners is that how do I manage my energy / time? Because it is a numbers game. You know, at the beginning, when you do prospecting, it is a numbers game. How do I make myself a lot more productive back in the day, I mean, I've been selling boom for 40 years now.
Yeah.
And I used to beat the streets with an attache, and I used to have coins in my pocket. And I used to have a little diary where I used to write 10 o'clock Anne, 11 o'clock Eddie, 12 o'clock Roger, 4 o'clock Sydney, you know. And in the morning, I'd get up and I'd make those calls, because those were not the days of Messenger or LinkedIn or WhatsApp or what have you. It was this phone on the street. You put in a coin and you call. And that was my way to be productive that time, efficient with my time. It was a lot of sweat. It was a lot of discipline. No? Today, I know that you have knowledge, know-how, access. Maybe you're a guru at Salesforce. Would you give us a few tips on how to be productive at that end? And that means increase the amount of prospecting. Quality.
I like that question, although I was not expecting that question, but I like that question because this is a perfect question for when the pandemic started.
Right.
Okay. When the pandemic started, I was questioning, now that I can't go out, now that I can't go out on to appointments, now that I can't meet the clients face to face, how do I do this? And then, the good thing is that there are online tools that are already provided for us.
Right, yeah.
And in fact, after a few months, I realized that I was actually meeting more clients using these online tools than I did when I was doing this face-to-face.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, because I could rush from one meeting to another in a single minute.
Right. Correct.
Instead of rushing with several, like 30 minutes later to the next appointment, I was doing like 10 appointments one after the other. Now, the thing is, you have to be able to determine the tools that you want to use in selling.
Yeah.
Okay. Online selling. There are many tools like that. Like, for instance, if you purchase 365 from Microsoft, okay, that what's this again? HubSpot comes free with that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So all you have to do, well, this is a lot of technology talk, and I'm not really the expert in technology, but here's the thing. If you don't have a CRM, or if you don't have a management software right now with you, HubSpot is perfect. Okay? HubSpot is it's free with your 365. Okay? And it will help you already manage your time, manage your space, manage the tools online that you already use. Another good resource is Teams.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, Microsoft Teams. Okay, you can get the free version, or you can get the paid version, that depending on you. Okay, if you have an entire team under you, I think you better get the paid version. Right. Now, Teams allows you to manage not only your sales force's time. Okay, it manages your meetings with your boss and everything, your internal meetings, but it can also
the process of selling.
Exactly. And did you know that with Teams, you can program it to work with Outlook, and you can work with 365 and HubSpot as well. So if you get all of these things, like right now in the current consulting work I'm doing, I use Teams a lot, and these are for different companies. I use Teams. In fact, I'm on Teams like 12 hours a day right now. Okay.
I should call you for a private chat. Yeah.
So we use it a lot to communicate with different people in and outside of the company. So it saves time, it saves effort, and it's also good because once people are in teams together, it's like you know each other already.
It's like you're sitting in an office together. Yeah. It's like all salespeople and the manager are sitting and chatting across the table. I get it. I've kind of sampled Teams, but I didn't get used to it. The learning curve was a bit challenging. Great. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 questions to wrap this up. We've done 45 minutes so far. The one question I have is art and science, the art and science of sales and negotiating. From the conversations that we've had in the last 40 minutes, Boom, you think we've covered both the art and the science, or is there something that you want to add?
Here's the thing. When we say science, let's start with science first. When we say science, we're talking about the process.
Yeah.
The process doesn't change. The major basics of selling and negotiating don't change.
Okay.
But here's where the art comes in. You can have your own style of selling and negotiating. Okay.
Right.
Like there are people who are power negotiators. I'm one of them. Okay. A power negotiator is like the example I gave you. I don't just back down, I move forward. I just go and hit the mark straight, go straight into the mark. Okay. Whereas there are more people who are laid back, okay, and they allow the person to like judo, they allow the person to push them until they actually are able to move the person into the part that they want.
I think that might be me. That might be me. I like to create a vacuum.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you create a vacuum and then you have them in the spot that you want them to.
Yeah.
Right? So that there are different selling styles, and that's where the art comes in. That's where the creativity comes in. Okay.
All right.
So a salesperson, that's why usually in corporations, you go to corporations, the people who are who have been promoted to CEO used to be salespeople.
All right. Fabulous. Great. Boom. I have two questions wrapped in one for you. And you may take as much time as you want. Is number one, have I forgotten to ask you anything? Wait, don't answer it yet. Put it all together. The second one is, I know that you are now leading a sales team, right? And just for our
several actually.
Okay, so what are they using and what are they selling? And I think that's about it. You know, if I've forgotten anything, fill it in. And just give us a background on what are you up to right now.
Okay, right now, like I said, I have a consultancy I have two consultancies that are taking up my time so much. One is a Russian company. I know that's not a very good word to say, right? Okay, but well, until about a few weeks ago, we were in constant communication. Okay, lately I think our communication has been cut because of the servers worldwide not allowing communication from Russia to go out. And then I have an Australian company. Both companies are RTOs, or registered training organizations, for different types of training. One is for the medical field, and the other one is for new grads getting into the workforce. Okay, that's what they're selling. Okay, and what tools do we use? What approach? Like the tip I gave you, we use Teams and HubSpot. Okay, and we use them a lot. That's why I'm able to coordinate with different countries worldwide from my base here in the Philippines. And that's one thing. And even though I'm able to do that, it's really it's still time consuming, but I get a lot done, which is very good. Now, what haven't you asked me? Maybe some tips for negotiation. Maybe
give them to me. I have a few more minutes, you know, and I'm quick to learn.
Okay, just a few tips for negotiation. Well, no, I'll just give you one tip for negotiation. That will help any negotiator out there. Okay.
Right.
Here's the thing: focus on the client and not on yourself.
Amazing, man.
The moment you focus on yourself, the negotiation goes down.
Amazing. Okay, that's a great one. I mean, focus outwards rather than inwards. Focus more on the denominator rather than the numerator. And let me explain that. So I'm going to share a quick story. I'm a fan. I'm a student of a guy called Ramcharan. And Ramcharan has a book, Professor Ramcharan of Harvard, and he's a former coach to Jack Welch. And he has a book called What the Customer Wants You to Know. It's a beautiful little book. It's like, you know, the prophet of sales. And in that, he shares a story in the 1980s of America. The textile companies on the East Coast were dying. The reason they were dying is because China was shipping junk to all of America, and these companies were dying, just like the car companies were dying because of Japan. And then there was a large textile company, and they kept on changing their sales and marketing director, but no effect on their sales. Then the CEO, the board of directors, they hired a learning manager, a learning specialist. They put him on top of sales and marketing. And the guys went, what? What's a teacher gonna do? And the teacher was such a dumbo. He said, you know what? I have no idea about sales. Can you go out into the market and just get me information about the customer? For days, for weeks, for months, all he did was just go out, get me more information. Now, in this process, boom, every time they would go out to learn more and more about the customer, not just the first level customer, the second level, the third level, until the mother, until the baby that used the diapers from the textiles. And when they came back, every time they came back weeks after that with more information, they were picking up sales. Bottom line, they were focusing on the client, and regardless of the competition, regardless of the circumstances, their sales began to pick up. So you're right. I really like that nugget of wisdom on sales or negotiation is just keep your eyes on the ball, and the ball is serving the client.
Exactly. Focus on the client. If you do that, you can't go wrong.
Right. Okay, boom, that's very good. Any parting philosophies for our customers, and where do they get in touch with you for training, consulting, and
you can get in touch with me through Southeast Asia Speakers and Trainers Bureau. Okay. You can simply type that on Google. I don't have their number right now, but Southeast Asia Speakers and Trainers.
Down here.
Oh yeah. In this video right here.
Right.
The one sponsoring this video is Southeast Asia. So in Speakers Bureau, you can get in touch with me. You can set an appointment, and if I'm free, I'll be there. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been a huge giant of a pleasure. All right. I hope you like that, ladies and gentlemen. Give Boom a round of applause. Even if he doesn't hear it, he'll see it and sense it, and his heart will hear it. Until next time, when we have a guest called P.S. Dharam to talk about managing OD and change, and it'll be hosted by our friend Dino Santos. Until then, remember, learning is a lifelong journey, and these vistas are limitless. Until then, mabuhay and adios.